Hi everyone, my name's Jay. I come to Hillfields Church and this is my testimony. I'll give you a bit of backstory of my how I grew up. I grew up in Bristol in a little village called Mansfield. It was just me and my two sisters and my mum and my dad. Now, my dad was a bit of a bad boy. He didn't treat my mum very well. I've seen a lot of violence when I was younger. And they split up when I was about 6 or 7. And I was a bit of a naughty kid, really. I played up for my mum. Mum, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, yeah? And I took things out on my mum, my sisters. And I got bullied when I was at school. When I started secondary school, I got bullied. I was like the shortest in my year. And I was quite fat as well, so like everyone picked on me. And I went in, I took out my troubles with my mum and my sisters. And my mum had enough and kicked me out to my dad's house. And I was scared of my dad, so like I never played up for him. But my mum done it to teach me a lesson. She thought that I was gonna like ask her to go back, but through stubbornness, I never asked her. And to tell you a little bit about my dad, one day he was selling drugs. He had someone coming after him with a gun, and he had to jump out of a second floor window, and he smashed all his legs up, and he ended up being addicted to tablets and everything. And every year he was on the tablets, like his addiction was getting worse, and his tablets would run out in the middle of the week. And it'd be nice when he was on the tablets, but then when his tablets run out, he was drinking and he'd be horrible. And then I just woke up one day and my dad wasn't breathing very well. And I seen he was going to stop breathing, and something stopped me going out the door, like a little voice in my head. So I picked him up, I put him on the floor, and all this blood and stuff was coming out of his face and his mouth and everything. And I was trying to do mouth to mouth, and I got his heart going and everything. And then 6 days later in hospital, he said that he was brain dead. We had to turn the machine off. Now, I never had this conversation with my mum until after my dad died, but she said she always wanted me to come back, but she was just too stubborn to ask. So then, after my dad died, I vowed to myself I'd never be bullied again, because when I hit 16, I just shot up really tall and really big. I sort of like hit the drink then when my dad died, and I become sort of a bully myself. And I'd done about 8 jail sentences just through violence, and I was a really violent person, but I just got fed up with it going in and out of jail, like the same cycle of life and everything. So I stopped drinking. The day I stopped drinking, the violence stopped. But then I turned to drugs, heroin and crack cocaine. And to fund my habit, I started selling it, and I was making a lot of money. Every time I dropped off a deal to a customer, I'd go in and have a smoke with them. So the more money I was making, the more I was smoking, my habit just got mental. I was like smoking some days like £2,000 worth a day. If I made that money, I'd smoke it. And then I got caught. My car went into limp mode, police chase and everything. And then I went to court. I started getting clean before I went to court, and I had a really good pre-sentence report which suggested not sending me to prison. So the day I went to court, I wasn't even expecting to go to prison. But I remember being in the back of the court, and I prayed for the first time in years and years and years, because I went to a primary school, CAV primary school, so I knew who God was, but I didn't have a relationship with him ever. So in the back of the court, I started praying. I was like, please God, I beg you, please don't send me to jail. I will promise you I'll change. I'll go home, I'll stop smoking straight away. But God had other plans for me. The judge said, I'm going to give you a long sentence. There's no way I can bring your sentence down to like below, to give you a pre-sentence, give you a suspended sentence. So I'm going to have to give you a long jail sentence. But that same day I prayed in the back of the court. God sent an angel to me He comes to our church. His name's Larry Harvey. Come in my cell. He said, Jay, can I pray for you? I said, yeah, of course you can, Larry. And I explained I know all of his family. I've got his daughter on everything on my Facebook. And I just broke down and cried. And I read his book the next day. And I thought, wow, if Larry can change like that. Because Larry was a bit of a bad boy back in the day. And if you see how much he's changed as a person now, like, no one would believe it. But he's a good man, yeah. And then I read his book and I thought, wow, miracles. And I know Joanne, who comes to our church, she had a miracle happen on her. So I thought, yeah, I want some of that life. So I started reading other books. The book I read after that was Paul Cowley. It's called The Priest, the Soldier, and the Thief, or something like that. Now he went on to help set up Alpha Prison Christian course with Nicky Gumbel. And that man's a legend in my eyes. And the more testimonies I read in prison, every testimony I read in prison, it was like from broken people. And at the end of the book was like everyone had a good ending at the book, how their life has changed, how Jesus has restored them. And I started praying at the start of my sentence, please God, show yourself. And at start, God wasn't really showing himself, but he was. I didn't realize that at the time. He was working in the background. And within 2 months, I went to jail. I got completely clean. I come off all the subby texts and everything. And then I started doing my Christian course and everything. And I had a lot of time to spend with God. And I was talking to him every day. And my relationship grew and grew and grew. I ended up going to 5 different prisons. It was the last prison I went to, which I ended up doing the Alpha course, which I really wanted to do. Every prison I went to, I was like, have you got the Alpha course here? Have you got the Alpha course here? Well, 2 days before I was released, my Alpha course finished. So it was like, and it was like God kept me in jail an extra week because I was supposed to be released a week earlier, but they messed up my paperwork. But it would have meant if I had got released a week earlier, I wouldn't have been able to finish the Alpha course, which I was gutted about. But something happened, and they messed my paperwork up, and I ended up finishing up the Alpha course. And at the end of it, we all got certificates, and they said to us, like, we encourage you to find a good church and stuff. So, like, when I got out, I started chatting to my sisters, and Sam Harvey, who comes here, she cuts my sister's hair, and my sister said, yeah, Jay's been following God in jail and everything. And Sam said, oh, tell him to come to Hillfields Church. And when I got out, I was going to message Larry anyway to say, can I come up to church with you? Because the last thing they said before I was released from prison is it's important you find a good church. Like, necessary, if you have to try a few if you have to. But the moment I walked through Hillfields Church, I fell in love with it, and the people just welcomed me every day. I'll tell you another story what happened to me in prison as well. I'll go back to when I was asking God to show me signs he was real and stuff. I read this woman's book. She was a prostitute in fish ponds in Bristol, and she went on to being a priest in St. Paul's. And I wrote her a letter, and I said to her, how come I'm not seeing God and stuff? And she said, go to your pastor tomorrow and ask him about the prodigal son story. Well, a couple of days before, I signed up to Bible study, and I went the first day of Bible study, the day after I got this letter took about 2 months to turn up, yeah? The day after I went into Bible study, the bloke welcomed me. He said, Jay, right, we're going to start off Luke, prodigal son. I was like, wow, out of all the chapters in the book to start off with, I've been told to start off with this one. And after that, every time I went into the church, I got this like warm feeling go through my body and tingling, and I knew it was the Holy Spirit. And every time I read the Bible, I got the same feeling. And I just know that God's made me stronger and everything. When I got out of jail, I was on top of the world. I was clean and everything, and I was on tag at my mum's house. And the moment I went back to my flat, I had a bit of freedom. I took my eye off God for a little while, and the moment I took my eye off God, I lapsed back on the drugs. And my life went back downhill like drastically badly, and the whole time I was still praying to Jesus and everything. I was like, Jesus, I've had enough of this life now, but can you just take me now with you? And he's like, no, I'm not finished with you yet. Get back to church, get back to church. And then I went back to church, and the moment I went back to church, that feeling I had in jail, that warmness and that tingling come back into me, and I've been so happy lately. I just know Jesus is with me, and he's making me stronger and stronger every day, and he's got plans for me. And it was the best decision I've ever made in my life, coming to Jesus. And if you're on drugs or anything like that, or you're depressed, come to church. Everyone at church will love you. Jesus loves you. If I can change, then anyone can change. That's my testimony.